And happy Friday, fight fans, and welcome to Inside the Fence, brought to you by No Game Scheduled, the official UFC companion show to No Game Scheduled. I'm your host, John Mastay, joined alongside my co-host, as always, Drew the Rooster Johnson, and the two of us are set for what potentially can be the greatest month in the history of UFC. It is October 2nd, 2025. And we are getting ready for a season of frights and fights in the UFC, Drew.
Yes, we are.
We're going to get right into it. Today we are talking about UFC 320, the first fight of October, first card of October, I should say, is two title fights. The bantamweight title bouts between the defending Merab Dvalishvili versus the number 4 contender Corey Sandhagen. And the main event is the light heavyweight title bout, the rematch between the number 1 ranked Alex Pereira and the defending champion Magomed Ankalaev. We're going to talk about the main card today. This is a main card episode. We were going to talk about how Patchy Mix went from a co-main event back to the early prelims, but we are going to move completely past that. But before we get into the fights, Drew, how are you, sir? We haven't been on in a while. We haven't seen you. We talked about Duplessis, his last fight, which did not go well at all. But that was the last time anyone's seen of you, Drew.
Oh, I mean, everything's going good, John. Hope all's well with you. But yeah, I think we're ready to just chop right in here and start talking about some fights because it's been a while.
We're going to get right into it. The first fight of the main card is a middleweight bout between Joe Pfeiffer and Abus Magomedov. Number 14 versus an unranked opponent. Joe Pfeiffer coming off of a somewhat decent win against Gastelum. I think a lot of people kind of not swayed on that one. It went to the decision. Everyone thought Pfeiffer was going to knock him out, which many people considered was a loss for Pfeiffer. But Drew, for this fight here, he's coming back in. Pretty quick turnaround between this fight and his last fight. So who you taking?
Yeah, John, I think we're gonna go with Joe Pfeiffer in this one. We got a German striker versus a U.S. striker. Joe Pfeiffer's looked better and better every one of his fights. He's got unbelievable knockout power for this weight class. I think Magomedov's a pretty good fighter, but I think Joe Pfeiffer's just a little bit level above him. I think we're going to see Joe Pfeiffer get maybe a third-round KO or a decision win, and we're not going to see another boring fight. You saw Joe Pfeiffer swinging for the fences, trying to put Kelvin Gastelum out with every punch he threw. I don't think he's going to do that with Magomedov. I think they're going to stand and bang. They're going to trade shots, and we're going to see Pfeiffer get his hand raised at the end of the night.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting fight here. The odds have it at minus 245 in Pfeiffer's favor. Like I said, coming off of a fight that was pretty much just a very light sparring session mixed in with a little bit of grappling. That's not what Pfeiffer's known for. This is a guy who stands up and strikes, and so this is going to be, in my opinion, a very much essentially a boxing match, if that's what you want to consider it. And if you take the boxing between the two of these guys, I'm going to go with Pfeiffer as well. Let's move up to the featherweight bout. The number 8, Josh Emmett versus the number 9, Youssef Zalal. Right now, Zalal is favored minus 425. Drew, are you going with the odds on this one?
No, I absolutely not. I think Josh Emmett should be an underdog in this fight. I do not see him as a plus 330 underdog. But a little bit of interesting fact about these guys is both of these guys have gone the distance with Ilia Topuria, and they are the only two guys to do so. Josh Emmett went 5 rounds with Ilia prior to Ilia getting his first crack at gold, which we all know how that went. And Zalal did very early in Ilia's UFC debut. I think it might have actually been Ilia's debut. But yeah, they both got also unanimous decision to Ilia, which is actually pretty shocking. I think Josh Emmett's going to get it done. I think the caliber of fighters he's stood toe-to-toe with and almost narrowly beat is just a little bit better than Zalal. Not to talk down on Zalal, but I just think Emmett's a little bit better of a guy. And plus, you've seen Josh Emmett that has one-punch KO power, which Youssef Zalal does not have. So for that reason, I think we're going to take Josh Emmett to beat Youssef Zalal.
Yeah, if you look at Josh Emmett's fighting record, I mean, he has gone up against some pretty big names. Obviously, you just mentioned Ilia Topuria there, but also took on Bryce Mitchell where he won knockout. Once again, Bryce Mitchell has to be one of the most overrated fighters in the history of the UFC. I don't know how he keeps getting contracts. He's entertaining because he talks about conspiracy theorists that no one's ever heard of before. He's developing conspiracy theorists rather than training. But with that, I'm taking Zalal on this one. I'm going with the odds. I mean, you look at Emmett's record and you look at the body of work he has put up. I don't think this is a good match for him in terms of what he provides versus what Zalal provides. I think Zalal has a little bit better striking and a little bit better groundwork, and I'm going to give my pick to Zalal here. I think I think we're gonna go the same way on 2 of the next 3 fights, and I think which means I think there's one fight where you and I are going to differ. So I'm curious as to know which one that is going to be. But let's move up here quickly to the light heavyweight bout between Yuri and Khalil Roundtree Jr. If you're wondering why I didn't say Yuri's last name, I dare you to go look up what it is, and let's get into it, Drew.
Yuri Prochazka.
You proved my point right there instantly. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's talk about these guys. Both these guys have fought Alex Pereira. Yuri's fought him twice, got knocked out twice. Khalil, I had Khalil up 2-1 before Khalil got knocked out in the 4th by Potan, but we all knew how that fight was going to go, where Potan was going to wind up putting him away. I mean, don't get me wrong, these guys are both great fighters, but the one thing I want to say is that I think that Yuri is going to lose. I think Khalil is going to chop his legs because he is so unorthodox in the way he fights. I think Khalil is going to wind up chopping Yuri's legs over and over and eventually knocking him out, which is sad to say because I really like Yuri Prochazka. But when you're a 205er that's over 6 foot tall and you have that good of Muay Thai skills, you're a very hard match for anybody. We saw what he did to Jamal Hill, and it was called he just beat his ass for 25 minutes. And Yuri knocked Jamal Hill out in the 2nd round. But I think that at matchup for matchup, Roundtree's a worse matchup for Yuri than Hill ever was going to be because of all the weapons that he has. The only way Jamal Hill's going to beat you is with his fists. He's not known for kickboxing. He's not known for wrestling. He is a stand-up striker, and that is it. And with Khalil, when you have all those weapons coming at you from all those different ways, I think that Khalil just has more ways he can win this fight over Yuri.
Yeah, I ultimately think that's what it comes down to as well. I'm taking Roundtree. Number one, I'm a pretty big Khalil Roundtree fan. Not my favorite fighter, not one of my favorites, but just a big fan of him. You said it there itself. I think it comes down to defense. I mentioned body of work for the last fight. Yuri, I mean, you mentioned, he fought Pereira twice, lost twice, and I think Pereira and Roundtree have a very similar style of fighting where it's a very stand up. We're going to attack one-on-one, and it's very quick. You can have a very quick turnaround or transition into a different style of fighting. And I think that's if Roundtree, in my opinion, is, if not the best, he's one of the best transitional fighters. He knows how to switch from we're going to this style of fighting, we're going to the ground, we're standing up. He knows how to quickly get into the next style, if you know what I mean. And so right now, and that pairs up with his defense, and that's kind of what his strength is. And Yuri, going back to Yuri's fight versus Potan did that. I mean, super strong kicks to the head, very good defense, great at checking Yuri's kicks, and I think Roundtree is going to do the exact same thing. I'm taking Khalil in this one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not to talk down on Yuri. I mean, he's a fan favorite for a reason. He's such a good guy outside of the octagon with all the work he does. But I just know that when Yuri tends to fight, he tends to drop his hands because he's got really quick reflex, so he could keep his hands low and bring them up. But when you're fighting a guy like Potan or Khalil that has those leg kicks that can just they can just spam out of absolute nowhere, you don't have time to be able to move your hands up and down. So for that reason, I think Yuri's gonna leave himself open, and Roundtree just has more ways to win this fight.
This is probably, in my opinion, when I look through the cards today, this was my toughest decision to make out of all the fights in the main card. I really think this one could go either way. I know I picked Khalil, but that's who I'm going with. The only thing really working for Yuri right now in his favor is the size. He is taller than Roundtree. He's got a larger reach. So if he can keep Khalil at a distance that he can manage the fight and he can decide which way the direction of the combat is going to go, I could easily see it going Yuri's way. But I think between the two of it's a close match. Let me back up here. After everything I've said with Roundtree and his defense and what happened between Yuri and Potan, this is a close fight. This is probably one of the closest fights odds-wise that you're going to see this card. Yuri's minus 180, Khalil's plus 150. It's close. It really is close, and there's a reason for that. I am just going to give it to Khalil.
I agree. I don't agree with Vegas on this one. I think there should be a -110 across the board as a pick 'em, just because of the caliber of fighters these two guys are. I think even though the rankings say what 2 and 4, I think these are guys 2 and 3. There's not even a doubt in my mind that these two guys should be 2 and 3.
And we're 2 days out now, so odds are subject to change. Once again, we're recording this Thursday night and getting out to you Friday morning. So odds are subject to change, but still, this is one of the closest ones. Let's move up. This was the quickest decision I made the entire week and the entire month and the entire lead up into this fight. The bantamweight title bout between the number 4 ranked Corey Sandhagen and the defending champion Merab Dvalishvili. This is his second title defense, correct? He defended against O'Malley last.
This is actually his third. He defended against Umar Nurmagomedov. And then he defended against O'Malley and was first person to submit O'Malley, and now he's defending against Corey Sandhagen. So this will be title defense number 3 for him.
Thank you. I forgot about that one in between the first O'Malley fight and the second. So thank you for that. This is pretty simple. Drew, you know this about me. Merab Dvalishvili is him and Tom are tied for 1A and 1B of my favorite fighters. I love Merab. He's an absolute machine, the greatest cardio maybe in the history of the UFC. He just keeps coming at you. He's an absolute bulldog. Despite the height, he is built like an NFL linebacker, and he just puts his head down and will go through you. So much technical ability, so sensational wrestling and grappling. Corey Sandhagen has been talking so much shit prior to this fight, and I just laugh every time I see it because it's like, dude, you're going to get ran through. That's it.
Yeah.
Now over to you.
I agree. You pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. I really don't think Corey Sandhagen has a. I see one way in which he wins this fight. We'll talk about that near the end. But you talk about strength of schedule. Merab has beat everybody that
Absolutely.
the UFC thought he would not beat. And let's talk about some of his notable wins. He out-wrestled Cejudo, which was probably the greatest wrestler at 135 we'll ever see. Then he out-wrestled Peter Yan, who's another phenomenal wrestler. He absolutely mauled Sean O'Malley in the striking exchange for 5 rounds. In their first fight, submitted him in the 3rd round in their second fight. And then he beat a Dagestani at wrestling, which you don't ever see.
You don't do that.
Merab is a freak. I can say this, and it'll probably be one of the coldest takes we've ever had on this show, is that Merab will never lose at 135. The only way he loses is either A, he's 50 and still fighting, or B, he moves up to 145 and just loses someone who's bigger than he is. But that's it. The only way I see Corey Sandhagen winning this fight is if he lands a clean knee on Merab as Merab shoots for a takedown. But I think Merab's too fast for it to happen, and we've seen him get cracked a few times. I don't think Sandhagen has the knockout power to put him out.
I mean, even if he, I'll even take your scenario and I'll raise you one. Even if he does catch him with a knee or clock someone who's going for a takedown, I mean, he's built of steel. I mean, in both O'Malley fights, O'Malley, the last fight, if you recall this, I think it was submission or he made O'Malley tap in round 3. In round 1, for sure, O'Malley definitely won the first round of their last fight. He clocked him a couple of times. Round 2, I was watching it today, I'm trying to recall. Laid some good shots, but it's Sean O'Malley. I mean, you get a shot to the head or you get a shot to the body. It's a good shot from O'Malley. He's a very powerful striker, right? He ate him. He ate every single shot that O'Malley had and just kept on coming and kept his momentum, his energy, the speed that he brought into a fight. That's what I love most about Merab is he's just like, he's a Wolverine. I mean, he really just keeps going. He sets a pace for himself, and he does not fall below it once. He'll stay at that. He'll go higher. He'll go at that pace for the entire fight. I think this is going to be another title defense. I think this is going to be a really long run, and we're going to come back to this potentially. Here's a little bit of a hint for your final round. But we're going to move on here. We're going to go to the title fight between the light heavyweight bout of the number 1 ranked Alex Pereira and the champion defending Magomed Ankalaev. This is a rematch. Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, the last fight either of these two guys had was against each other.
Yeah, it was March 8th, 2025. It was UFC, I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 313 maybe. I don't remember the exact number. But yeah, they said we're running it back. Dana wanted it, they both wanted it, and now we're going to get to see it.
I mean, March 8th, 2025, very good. So a little bit of a 6-month turnaround here for these two fighters. This is This is it's one of those fights I'm worried about because we're gonna talk about it as much as we possibly can and we're gonna analyze it as much as we can, Drew. But I always just have that strong suspicion that it's not gonna be the fight that we're hoping for. I'll let you start this one off because I think my opinion is gonna differ from yours here.
I'm going to make a pretty bold prediction, say this is not going to be the fight we're hoping it's going to be. I think we're going to see I'm just going to flat out say it. As much as you and I both love Alex Pereira, I see this fight going the exact same way it did on March 8th, 2025. I see Ankalaev just keeping Potan at bay, Potan not doing much, and Ankalaev just piecing him up for 5 rounds. As much as it pains me to say it, it's not what we want to happen, it's what we think is going to happen on the show. So for that reason, I think we're going to see Magomed Ankalaev get his hand raised at the end of the night. For the love of God, I hope I'm wrong. Just because I want to see Alex Pereira get that belt back and hold UFC Championship gold, which you and I both know he so deserves. But I see Ankalaev just being the kryptonite to Alex Pereira, and it's just as simple as that.
Well, I thought Drew was going to have the exact opposite opinion of me. I literally have the exact same opinion, word for word. I would love Pereira to win. I'm going to be cheering for Pereira, absolutely. I'm going to be thinking about it all tomorrow and all Saturday afternoon and morning. But at the end of the day, I think Ankalaev's going to get this. I think he is just a better fighter. These Dagestani guys, man, they're something else. I mean, this is their sports, athletics, whatever. It's their lives. It's such a strict upbringing. It's such a way of life. It's such a stern discipline. That's why there's the Dagestani takeover right now in the UFC, because these guys just live and breathe training. And in the meantime, Alex Pereira has been filming a movie for the last 2 months. He's playing some military bad guy. He looks like he's a Call of Duty character. And I'm not saying you can't do that. There's obviously, people can have their breaks in between fighting. But if you're preparing for a fight and you're preparing to regain your championship belt, in my opinion, which everyone here knows I am an amateur fan of the UFC, if you're trying to regain your belt, you don't do anything else besides try to regain that belt. You're not out here filming movies and doing TikToks with, I Show Speed or whatever it is he was doing in the offseason. It's a way of life for these Dagestani fighters, and that's why I think it goes Ankalaev's way. That being said, I will be cheering for Pereira. Absolutely. Drew, what do you think Pereira has to do differently from this fight to last fight? It's a 6-month difference, as I've said. What does Pereira have to do to maybe walk away with a different decision this time?
I hate to use these words, but I can't figure out anything else, is don't be scared. You knew that Ankalaev took away his greatest weapon in their last fight because he kept faking and pressuring to shoot, which rendered Potan's left hook completely useless. I don't think he threw one solid left hook that entire fight. And when you have your number one weapon, which is put away guys like Izzy, he put away Jamal Hill with the left hook. He put away Roundtree with the combination that involved that left hook. When your greatest weapon is disabled, you are 1/10 of the fighter that you could be in that fight. I think that if Alex Pereira is going to win this fight, he has to just push forward and try to land that left hook come hell or high water, and that is his only chance to beat Ankalaev. Does he have the power to knock out Ankalaev? Absolutely. But you have to be not afraid to throw that left hook. You might get taken down and ridden out for the other 4.5 minutes of that round, but that's why championship rounds are 5 rounds and not 3. You can afford to lose 2 rounds, but you have to put the pressure on and just let the hands go. Let the hands go, piece them up. Hopefully you land a shot on the chin, and then we have a hashtag and no.
You can afford to lose 4 rounds. You can afford to lose 5 rounds in the UFC. You really can. However, with 1 minute left on the clock in the 5th round, you got to haul ass to either go for a knockout, go for a submission, or go for a TK. You got to do something, right? That's what's so beautiful about this sport. It's a lot. I don't want to make this thing. The MLB playoffs are going on right now. Everyone's really focusing in on that. But the UFC and baseball are relatively very similar in the way that you have to meet your opponent in the middle, right? If it's whether it's going to go to decision, it's going to go to knockout, or it's going to go to a home run, it's going to go to walk off in the bottom of the 9th, you have to meet your opponent. There's no running out the clock. And yes, technically in technical terms of the UFC, you can run out the clock, but that's your decision. That's not necessarily what the other guy wants to do. The other guy may want to run out the clock. You can go attack him. You know what I mean? And so, relating that to this Alex Pereira fight, you look back at the last one, it was one of the most. This is what I'm talking about when I said that. Hey, this might be just like another boring fight. We've done it numerous times on this show. I'm thinking back to this fight over here on my shoulder. Pereira versus Taperia. Sorry to remind you of that, but it's like we hyped it up as such a great fight. It was over in 35 seconds. That last Pereira Ankalaev fight was one of the ones we did that to. We thought this was going to be an excellent matchup between two sensational fighters, and then it wasn't. Why? Well, because Potan wanted to have somewhat of an out-of-body experience and just kind of chase Ankalaev around the ring and not really throw any punches. Like you said, Ankalaev did a good job in defense, but it's fighting. You have to figure out a way past that. I don't know if in the 6 months off that he has had to prepare for this fight. I mean, like, because you knew it was going to be a rematch the second the fight ended. Second the fight ended, camp started for fight number 2. I don't think Potan has found a way to get out of whatever it is he was in this past 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, we could be wrong, and I really hope we are, but I think I completely agree with you on that one, is that Potan, I don't know how much work Potan's put in. I mean, we haven't seen him really active on social media, which is, I guess, a good thing.
That's not uncommon, though, to be fair. Pereira's never been a big social media guy, and neither has Ankalaev. So that's at the end of the day, everything is guesswork because we have no idea what these two guys have done. The only thing I can tell you, as I already mentioned it, this guy's been filming a movie.
Absolutely, and that's one thing with the UFC is that you can do these little random side quests and still perform. Like we saw what John Jones did. He went on and filmed a whole movie too, but then came back and knocked out Stipe, and that was all fun and games. But when you're talking about a guy who's had your number, and we called it in the last Pereira podcast, is that Ankalaev was going to have his number and be the kryptonite to Potan, and was the only person we thought at 205 had a serious chance to beat him. And it's weird to say that I don't see either one of these guys losing to someone else other than the ones that are in front of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to head into the final round here, Drew's favorite segment on the show. This is completely unprompted. I have not given Drew any preparation for this. He has to answer in a flat moment here and talk about it. Let me get ready for this one. Drew, the last big-ish UFC event that took place was the Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva fight, which the entire world said that Gene Silva was going to win. Diego Lopez was coming off some not so great battles. He took on Volk, which was a really good fight, but has kind of been struggling lately in the UFC, and so they think this is a kind of him feeding him to the dogs. That's a great joke, if you know what I'm talking about, against Gene Silva. And then he absolutely killed him with a spinning elbow that goes down as maybe one of the best spinning elbows of all time. My question for you, Drew, is, I guess there's two questions. You can answer anything. Is Diego Lopez back? That's the first question. And number two, are the fighting nerds, are they kind of getting debunked here, and is like their allure kind of wearing out?
Well, let's start with the thing with Gene Silva is that Diego Lopez is. I don't think Diego Lopez ever lost it, to be honest with you. I think that he went up against an all-time GOAT at 145 in Volk and lost, and there's no shame in losing to one of the best guys that's ever fought at 145 this early in your career. We knew Diego Lopez was going to bounce back, but I don't think that Gene Silva really, lost that fight as bad as everybody thought he did. He got caught with one good shot, and that was the fight. I think that fight goes on a couple more rounds. Gene Silva, comes out of the woods and figures out a way to knock out Diego Lopez. So to answer your question about the nerds, I don't think they're all debunked. You look at who they all lost to, and look at their performances since. I don't think that they're cooked. Like Carlos Prada's lost a decision to Ian Gary, but he took that fight on what was it? I think 3 weeks notice, and he almost knocked him out in the 5th. And then look at the performance he had against Jeff Neal, who's never been finished in his UFC career, and knocks him out in the first round. At UFC Chicago, which I was at. He bounced back.
Great
Caio
shirt,
Borralho,
Great
thank
shirt.
you. Caio Borralho lost to one of the best guys in his weight class in Nasruddin Imavov, the last guy to knock out Adesanya. That's a real guy. I don't think that losing to the guy like Nasruddin or a Diego, and then Ruffy lost to Benoit Saint-Denis, who's a phenomenal wrestler. There's no shame in losing to these guys that are so good in their division that this camp is just going to get better and better, and I think all these guys are going to wind up bouncing back.
Let me go back here. Obviously, he loses to Volk, right? Prior to that, win against Ortega, win against Ige. Both of them 3-round fights, went to the decision, unanimous in Diego's favor. I think a lot of people across the, I don't know, fandom of the UFC, I'm trying to find the word there, we're not satisfied with Lopez's, just how he went about those two fights prior to Volk. So it kind of, you have two fights that go to decision, and then you get knocked. It goes to a decision again against one of the greatest fighters in the weight class's history. So you see what I'm saying there. I'm not saying that Diego just he looked bad for like the last year and a half. It's just he didn't look like what Diego was kind of prophesized as being.
Yeah, I agree. I think Diego got a lot of hate for no reason, and I mean he just had to find his groove, and it looks like he's found that groove, and he's found that style that works for him, and he looked really good against Gene Silva, and I don't think it was a bad performance on Gene Silva. I think Diego just looked better.
Well, Drew, that does it for the final round. Do you have a final round question for me? Normally this is, do you have anything to ask? This is normally when you give me a lighter question or can't think of anything. If not, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You're marketed as the more casual fan. I'm marketed as more
Sure.
the I guess expert fan. I know there's a couple fighters out there that you want to see win a belt and that you think would be really good, they're marketable, they're really loved in the UFC. And who's your one guy right now that's not champion that you would like to see become champion solely for the reason that A, you're a fan of them, and B, that you think they'd do a lot more for the sport if they were champion instead of just a ranked contender?
That is a very good question. I will say a couple of guys who are coming to mind right now. Pimblett immediately jumps to my head. Again, I think that speech, if you haven't seen it, go look it up. Go look up Paddy Pimblett's post game speech about like men's mental health. If you
Yeah, it
look
was
that up,
a fight against Jared Gordon.
you'll immediately go look that up. You'll immediately find it. That fight, not even the fight, the post game speech put him on the map, and it kind of showed him to the world that he cares more about life than just fighting, which is essentially like what it comes down to is what makes a UFC fighter popular, right? Because everyone talks shit, everyone promotes their fights, but you look at some of the guys who have been popular for a really long time and are fan favorites. They do more outside of the ring, right? You talk about, was it Kayla Harrison who like adopted like her 3 nieces and nephews or something like that because
Yeah,
like her
absolutely.
sister. It's like it's stories like that mean something. I'm a huge Tom Aspinall fan, and you watch these videos of these fighters get emotional after getting fight of the night, which is like a $50,000 paycheck. That's a lot, and they're breaking down in tears because a lot of these fighters people don't understand are just regular people. Like I know we get the Conor McGregors and the John Jones and like these Dagestani fighters in Tapuria who's like has like $1 billion or something. All of these fighters get like everyone thinks that's the standard, but in reality, a majority of these fighters in the UFC are like fighting to make ends meet, and they're like literal and like fighting figuratively and literally. It's the fighters like that who I want to win, which is why I jumped to Paddy immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great pick, and I think I'm one of the same in that I think that, don't get me wrong, a lot of people love Ilya, but if
Mm-hmm.
Paddy somehow knocks out Ilya, this sport's going to go up a whole nother notch. That
I mean,
highlight would be so viewed, and people, I can't find someone that genuinely hates Paddy. I mean, you might not like the guy, but there's nobody out there that genuinely hates the guy.
yeah, and I mean, there's a couple guys who I would like. I mean, I would love to see Oliveira win it again. I don't know if it gets in the cards. I don't know if he's got enough time left to get a quality fight or 2 more quality fights and then get a title. I would love. It doesn't answer your question specifically, but Kevin Holland getting a belt, I think would just be hilarious. I think it'd absolutely be I think it would be the funniest shit. I know I don't think he would do like a lot for the UFC. I just think it would be the funniest shit of all time if Kevin Holland got a belt.
I mean, come on, how would he be able to defend the belt 4 times in a year? Because nobody's going to want to fight that quick.
Nobody will want to fight. It will be insane. Um, Lastly, I gotta say, Derek Lewis. I mean, again, we're going off the same train as Kevin Hahn. I think it would just be the funniest shit of all time if Derek Lewis, simply because I just want to know what he would say in his post fight interview of, I just want to fight, and what crazy shit is he gonna say? But that's gonna do it for this episode of Inside the Fence as we follow along through UFC 320. Fights are this Saturday, October 4th, starting at 6 o'clock. Main card starts at 9 Central Time, so I'm not converting it for all of you people who live west of the Mississippi. You can do that yourself. From John Mastey and Drew Johnson, have a very good rest of your evening, and we'll see you Saturday.